This is Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Yeah? You see what I did there? Oh, well, fuck you too then. Has anybody ever wondered why this sub-series of Call of Duty is called Black Ops? Last time I checked, a Black Op is supposed to be a covert operation. And covert doesn't exactly scream 20,000 explosions and a body count that could dwarf the population of Kyoto. I could think of a lot more appropriate subtitles for this game, like Call of Duty Grimdark Ops 3, or Call of Duty They're People Damn It Ops 3. You know what? Let's roll with that. In this review, I'm gonna call this game something different every time. That'll give the review more variety and logic than this fucking game. My indifference to the Call of Duty series sunk to a new low this year. Believe it or not, I did like the Call of Duty series. I liked it a lot, in fact. During what should have been my formative years, I spent an ungodly amount of time playing Modern Warfare 2, which, despite being totally unbalanced and featuring a plot rivaling Geely in creative quality, remains one of my favourite games from last generation purely on entertainment factor. I played a fair amount of Black Ops, way more time than I should have spent on Modern Warfare 3, and even less time on the better Black Ops 2. My closed-minded gaming phase really ended with Modern Warfare 2, and as I was making more money and I began venturing onto the PC platform, you'd sooner find a talented person doing a gender studies degree than the single shit I gave about the series. Needless to say, playing much better games makes you less interested in playing the same monochromatic shooter every year. My indifference soon turned to hatred with the abomination that was Call of Duty Ghosts. You hear lots of inarticulate, drooling idiots talking about how Call of Duty sucks harder than IGN sucks Activision's cock, except, you know, less intelligently and poorly spelled, and usually I don't agree with them. But make no mistake, Ghosts was indeed terrible. Shit maps, a travesty of a campaign, stupid writing, bad graphics, a piss poor PC performance, and general lack of effort. I'd rather have AIDS than play Call of Duty Ghosts. I hate that game. Advanced Warfare was better, though as a younger, functioning sibling, you're generally gonna look better than the miscarriage. And despite featuring the godly talent of Kevin Spacey, I still didn't care enough to play the game for any extended amount of time. So, in spite of my general positive attitude towards Treyarch's output, I had no interest in Get to the Chopper Ops 3. Now that it's out, I feel that despite my low expectations, I feel disappointed with the game that materialized on my hard drive. Maybe it's because I expected more of Treyarch, given that since Black Ops, their games have been the better Call of Duty games. That's not to say choice, good one, Ops 3 is as bad as Ghosts. That would be a monumental feat of incompetence. And it's not mundanely boring as Advanced Warfare, but it's not particularly good either. Not bad does not mean good. Let's start with the PC port, which must have been done by a team of coked up chimps. This is a very strange PC port. It has lots of options, yet runs so laughably bad. It's not a graphics thing, because this game can be confused at times with an original Xbox title, but at certain points, the game slows down hard, often to the point of being unplayable, as you can see here. How the hell did this get past QA? Oh, that's right, because they don't care. No dedicated servers either, which is flat out insulting. Can you honestly sit there and tell me the most profitable publisher in the industry can't afford the basics like dedicated servers and a decent PC port? I'm not asking for the Ark of the Covenant here. I just want to be able to play the game. Before I get the typical, your PC just sucks comments. No, my PC can handle games like Crysis 3 and Battlefield 4 easily. This is a problem with the PC port, and again, I don't get it. This is running on the Quake engine, for Christ's sake. How hard is it to get a game that looks like arse running on an old engine to play on my PC that costs in excess of $1,000? So, if you're looking to get this game on PC, don't. Your money would be better spent on a torn condom. Right now, this game sucks on PC. And really, I can end the review there. On PC, this game plain sucks. And hell, even on the consoles, I've been seeing that they've been having frame rate issues. But you're not paying me a whopping $0 to see a 3-minute review, so let's move on to the content on offer in Everything is Going Black Ops 3. Like I said, I could forgive the choppy performance if the game's visuals were pushing the boundary, but when a 2015 title is still running on an engine that predates the average age of the typical Call of Duty player twice over, what could you even expect? This game looks and sounds like complete shit. Low-res textures, 2D looking explosions, particle effects that could run on my 98 compact, and gun sound effects that sound like they were extracted from a paintball arena. There's no excuse at this stage. 60 FPS on shooters is now common, and even if it wasn't, less fiscally successful games look and sound so much better. Battlefield 3, a game from 2011, still curb stomped this game from a visual standpoint and runs better on PC as well. But excluding the PC performance, all of this is surface level stuff in the grand scheme of a game, and it's not particularly important. What really matters is gameplay and content, and in this regard, the Black Ops series has had a good track record. One that has now been tarnished thanks to shit just got real Ops 3, which definitely is my least favorite in the series. Let's start with the campaign. In player choice not allowed Ops 3, you assume the role of player. I'm not even kidding. That's the name of the main character. You think it's from the projects. I guess they were trying to make you insert yourself into the role of the player, but that is kind of defeated when you can't even make your character look like you. You can't be black, Asian, Hispanic, you're just burly white dude 513, which I'm fine with, but when you make your game with a nameless character who you can change the appearance of to presumably insert yourself into the role of, wouldn't it make more sense? Just screw it, let's move on. If your intelligence is not insulted by Michael Bay Ops 3 within the first 10 seconds, you must be quite the special snowflake, because in the first mission alone, I already felt insulted by how little faith the game had in me to do anything. Player agency? That is not welcome in if you leave the campaign area, you automatically die Ops 3. Yeah, it'd be nice if we got to go, wouldn't it? I still can't shoot. I still can't shoot. Oh, you see? You see? They're getting taken away. Oh, yeah, it's time for a leisurely stroll. Let's move on.
Let's do this.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we got to do something. Oh, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? From a gameplay perspective, the campaign ticks all the boxes of modern game design. Slow walking sections, being forced to wait for your Goomba AI partner to open doors, turret sections, non-interactive set pieces, explosions, terrible exposition, and yelling at the player because they're not doing something as fast as they want them to. If you like not being surprised, you're in luck, because if you were surprised by anything in this game, seriously, what the fuck? The funny thing about all this nonsense is that in an attempt to engage the player through having tons of explosions and actions, you in fact become disengaged and completely numb to everything. Explosions lose their punch when they occur with a greater amount of frequency than movie Bob craps his pants. And battles tend to be more dramatic when there's some kind of build-up. The Battle of Minas Tirith didn't occur at the beginning of The Lord of the Rings, and it would have been a lot worse if it did. And what I find strange about the campaign is that it so clearly could have had the potential to be better. There was one particular section in the last mission of Singapore where stealth is actually a viable option. Sure, it has the depth of a kiddie pool or a Dane Cook spot, but it showed promise. Though I'm guessing doing it in a better way would have taken time and effort and talent. This game was obviously designed for 4-player co-op, not just because the levels are open-ended, because they aren't. Rather, you just get bombarded with enemies constantly. That and some of the dialogue was written with co-op in mind. I got separated from the partner guy, Hendrix, and he said, I got separated from the others. What others? I'm the only dude. 3 years of development time well spent, Treyarch. The campaign introduces augmentations ripped straight out of Deus Ex, except more shit. There is an assortment of DNI abilities, which you can unlock in the campaign to use. Though I only found myself using the same 3 over and over, which were basically which ones are the best for killing things. This is kind of a cool feature, but it's not exactly game-changing, which is the name of the game here. I have to say I was kind of surprised by how much I didn't enjoy the campaign. Treyarch, unlike Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer, typically make good campaigns, and Black Ops 2 is probably the best they ever made. It featured an interesting, more political story, player choice that actually impacted the ending drastically, and a clear, understandable plot with a beginning, middle, and end. It even had optional objectives, which for a modern AAA shooter is like seeing a 3-dimensional character in Final Fantasy XIII. This game is so baffling to me. For 9/10 of the campaign, it's your typical military BS. If you were in the stream, you would have seen that we saw everything coming. Obnoxious torture scenes to say, hey, they're the bad guys. Fucking painful dialogue. More stupid slow motion sections, you name it. From the offset, I was completely disengaged with the story. I just did not give a crap for the vast majority of the game. But then you hit the final mission and things start to get interesting. So, spoiler warning right now. If you don't want the last mission and the ending spoiled, skip ahead. Basically, there's this virus called Corvus, which screwed up Taylor and his team and is messing with you and Hendrix. It's basically an AI virus manifested in technology. You kill Hendrix, which truly brought a smile to my face, and attempt to kill yourself, but end up in the frozen forest, which was what was being talked about all game. Taylor, who was meant to be the antagonist of the game, is basically the only person who was able to fight it, which is never explained and creates a plot hole as wide as Rosie O'Donnell's waistline. And alongside him, you run around killing hallucinations, all the while descending into madness yourself. You then purge your DNI, walk around, go outside, and when a soldier outside asks your name, the character responds by saying Taylor, and at that moment, I got a bit angry. This is supposed to suggest that the AI version of Taylor basically took over the body of the player, and that's it. That's the end of the game. Cuts to black, because that's good storytelling now, cutting to black. The major problem with the ending is that so long as the story isn't wrapped up, and it isn't, plot twists like this are unsatisfying. You can and sometimes should have endings that leave the player or viewer thinking. In fact, if you leave the player thinking, you've done a good job, but your ultimate goal as a storyteller should be to provide the player with closure and satisfaction for the game that they've completed. That is what an ending is, and here, there's a lot that's not being concluded, which is compounded by the story being so unbearably terrible up until that point. And I was personally under the belief that Black Ops 2 would be the final game in the Treyarch trilogy, which did start with World at War. Black Ops 2 had a conclusion in all of its endings. Sure, there were loose ends, but the central plot was wrapped up. Here, there's so much ambiguity, which may have been fine, were it not for the fact that I and many others were under the impression that this would be the final game in the series. Now we're presented with two equally bad possibilities. That this is in fact the end of the Black Ops series, which means there was no finality to the ending at all, or there'll be a Black Ops 4, which I also do not want. The last mission shows promise. It hints at some form of transcendence above the generic nonsense in other Call of Duty games. It demonstrates some true Black Ops stuff, some twists and turns and an actual point. So why, for the vast majority of the game, is it so stupid and mundane? Even if you really like the ending, you cannot deny that the overall story from beginning to end was not that good. This is ignoring that it doesn't connect to the other two Black Ops games in any real fashion. There's mention of Menendez, a minor plot point related to Nova 6, and that's it. No reference to Mason or Woods or Section. If the game wasn't called Black Ops 3, you wouldn't have known it was connected to the other Black Ops games. And I'm not even touching the surface of how everything is blatantly ripped off Deus Ex with themes about human evolution. I get how it would be hard to connect a series that spans literally 100 years chronologically, but to me, this game isn't a Black Ops game. There's no connection to the prior much better lore than surface level stuff. I just don't understand how this game can be Black Ops 3 when it has nothing to do with the previous games. The story was not good for most of its run, and the campaign lacked any form of creativity or open-ended design. It's a step backwards for the Black Ops series. But of course, a large percentage of the Call of Duty audience don't even touch campaign. For them, it's all about the multiplayer. A lot of people would be content with basically the same thing again, and if that's what you were looking for, then you're in luck, because I Had Sex With Your Mom Ops 3, despite claims of being drastically different, is the same thing again. Of course, the minute-to-minute gunplay is identical. So the biggest change Legolas Ops 3 makes to Call of Duty multiplayer is introducing of specialists. There are 9 specialists to choose from, with each possessing one of 2 special abilities which are unlocked by getting kills and points. For example, the Outrider can use a bow and arrow that explodes when it makes contact with a surface or a person, because bows are now more effective than bullets, or she can use a vision pulse which pings enemies within range. The Prophet, on the other hand, can use a charged weapon that fires electricity or teleport around the place. This all sounds great and game changing, of course, until you realize it's not. There are, of course, many problems with this class system. The first one being that it's not really a class system. The general idea behind a class system is that each class plays differently, as is in the case of better games like Team Fortress 2, and more importantly, a class is supposed to serve a specific different role in battle. This requires a game to be a team game, and Call of Duty is a team game in the same way that Jack and Jill is a good movie. Call of Duty is a game about killing things. That's all you do. Teamwork counts for nothing, so in this game, basically all of the abilities are designed for you to kill things with. So at the end of the day, these specialists are just veils for additional kill streaks that don't require skill to obtain. If anything, it just further reduces the skill gap this game has. The new movement system is incorporated into multiplayer, and this is an addition I'm quite fond of. Again, I'm probably biased on this as I absolutely adore Titanfall, but I feel that the raw running system is a plain good mechanic. It clearly doesn't work as well here as the maps are too small to really allow you to get good at wall running and getting around the map, but it at least adds something to the experience. Thank God the maps are halfway decent again. At least when it comes to Call of Duty, before Ghost ruined everything, the game's always adopted a 3-lane design, where 3 clear lanes ran through the map. It's a simple system that works and controls map flow. Ghost had no such structure. There were walkways, elevated positions, subpaths everywhere, and the result is piss poor map flow, where you never know where you're going, and more importantly, never know where the enemies would come from. This was a pretty clear attempt by the developers to try and level out the playing field even more. Call of Duty is not a game about skill. If you see someone first, you're more often than not gonna get the kill, unless you really suck. By making it to where you can never possibly be safe, there's a good chance you'll die because someone saw you first. Advanced Warfare went back to the 3-path system, but this also didn't work because with the Exos, you could just go anywhere anyway, so map flow was still awful. Thanks to a movement system based more on momentum than just going anywhere you want, Corridor Ops 3 has some more map flow, though it would have been nice if there were at least a few less invisible walls or prohibitively short timers when you accidentally go out of bounds because you have to stay in the path like a good little chimp. The time period of the game allowed Treyarch's artists to really flex their muscles and create some truly cool maps. Redwood is particularly interesting, as it's essentially a base built on a cliff with walkways connected to the redwood trees. Infection is like an acid trip, and Aquarium utilizes the new swimming mechanic to great effect as well, allowing players to get the jump on enemies via underwater pathways. Would have been nice if there was more time spent actually making the things. As has become a recurring theme in gaming, there is lacking content yet again. As I'm not counting Nuketown since it was a pre-order bonus map, there are only 12 maps, which is less than the 14 Black Ops 2 had, and less than the 18 Modern Warfare 2 had. You'd think that with the additional year of development time, there'd maybe be more maps, but no, you'd be wrong because gaming in 2015. There's zombies, of course, a game mode I've never particularly cared about. It wasn't because I thought the mode was bad, because I don't think it is. If anything, it shows Treyarch would rather be doing better things if they weren't the Princess Leia to Jabba the Hutt. But I don't really care about the zombies, and I'm not a co-op guy. I do like the aesthetic of I See Dead People Ops 3 zombie mode. It takes on something of a 1940s noir visual look and incorporates some jazz tunes as well. And as someone who plays the saxophone, I'm a fan of this. Along with the general vibe of the mode, it looks fantastic. Though it really shouldn't be called zombies when you're frequently fighting monsters. It'd be like if the movie 2012 was about a feudal conflict between platypuses and echidnas. As for the gameplay, it was fun, but I can't exactly provide any sort of in-depth analysis. And really, I can only find so much entertainment out of shooting dead corpses and people telling me I'm a bad person because I'm not good at a game mode I don't play. I'm gonna be honest though, I only played a few matches of zombies, mainly because I couldn't find matches and because I just didn't care at this stage. This occurred right after my Fallout 4 download was wiped completely and had to be started again from scratch. Combine this with being unable to connect into matches and I just did not care. Why should I put effort into doing this review when Treyarch didn't put any effort into the PC port? And what you just saw right there was a redundant review that doesn't need to exist. Did I tell you anything you didn't already know? Did I change anybody's mind on this one? Or did I just waste a whole week playing a game, writing, recording, editing, rendering, and posting a review on the internet only to tell you what you already knew? The reality is that if you like Call of Duty, you will probably enjoy this game, and if you don't, you won't. It's the same thing again. It's fun at times, I will admit, and it's not as bad as the last 2 games. But not as bad does not equate to 9.2 IGN. In fact, this is going to be a mini rant. But what are these reviewers on? Game Trailer said, quote, Black Ops 3 is its own game and the most robust offering in the franchise this generation. Oh yeah, because Ghost was such a high watermark, it's the fucking Casablanca of video games. I actually counted the number of reviews above 9 for this game. 25. There were 25 reviewers who legitimately believe this game is nearly perfect. And then these reviewers sit down and wonder, why do gamers hate us? It's because you idiots constantly think Call of Duty games are better than other superior titles. 9.2. This game is a 9.2? What the fuck? At the end of the day, your expectations will not be exceeded and likely will not even be met. Multiplayer and zombies are basically what I was expecting. They were fun, but not that great. And the campaign, based on the standards you would expect from Treyarch, was surprisingly stupid and bad for most of its run. It only got mildly interesting in the final mission, but at that stage, I was just done with the game. Seriously, I was so bored at the end, and the campaign just kept on going. On top of that, the game looks like the guy from Mask. The sound design is plain awful by any reasonable modern shooter standards, with some really bad voice acting, and as usual, it's the exact same thing again. Nobody is asking for a complete overhaul of the series, but when the series has basically not changed in any appreciable fashion other than surface level stuff since 2007, and with 3-year development cycles now, am I really asking for too much? So, I don't particularly like this game, nor would I really recommend it. It's better than Ghost and Advanced Warfare, but that's like bragging about summoning a 2-story staircase. And in terms of the Treyarch Call of Duty games, this is probably my least favorite one. It's just a boring, bland game, and on PC, it's flat out bad. If you're looking to get the game on consoles, it's just mediocre, and maybe I'd have an easier time recommending it. But on PC, at least for the time being, actively avoid Stutter Ops 3.